Hello, welcome here, everybody. We got Jolie in the house and Jeff Curry. I got some light over here that lights me up a little better. You guys hear me okay? Looks like my mic is working. A little different on the lighting tonight, but I'm not as dim as I was. Oh, you have no sound. Damn the bad luck. Hang on. Test. Shows my microphone is working. Can you hear me now? No sound still. Check. Hmm. Well, Jeff must be able to hear me, because he said the word dim. Everything okay with the sound? Give me a thumbs up before we get too far in. You can hear me fine. What about you, Jolie? Okay. Jolie. That's horrible. Jolie. Please let me know if you can hear me now. Everybody have a good weekend, I hope. Mine was rather dull, but I liked it that way. I hung out in here and played games and played some music and all the things. Let's see. Uh, Tonight we're going to be talking about a few things that Heather Cox Richardson wanted to share, and I'm going to reshare her thoughts because I think that it's important. But we'll just hang out for a few minutes, see if anybody else pops in. Mala spent the night last night with her boyfriend and spent all day and all night over there. My scooter quit going in reverse a couple days before this, and I had a friend of my brother's came over and figured out how to make the reverse work again. That was not fun for me, because every time I needed to take Mala out, I had to. Okay, you had to close out YouTube and come back. There, you have sound now. Great. Every time I had to take Mala out, I had to physically push the scooter backwards, then make it go forward, and then push it back again and make it go forward, and do this several times to get it lined up with the door. And all the while I'm trying to do this, Mala is just going crazy because she's excited that I'm going to take her outside. But we managed, and gratefully my brother's good friend Nudie came over and tinkered with my scooter and got the reverse working again, so I'm very pleased about that. As when I earlier when I was thinking I might buy a new scooter, my brother talked me out of it because mine was working, and I was thinking, oh man, I should have bought a new scooter, but gratefully it's still working, so we're all good to go. My nose itches. I'm sorry. I'm bewitched, I guess. So, um, Heather Cox Richardson did a short, I think it's like a 15-minute video, and there's 3 things she wants everybody to be aware of, and she was asking people to share this information, so it's on everybody's radar. The first thing is that Donald Trump wants to claim executive privilege with the caveat that it's not just with cabinet members or staff that he, can claim executive privilege. They don't have to talk to you. It's with anybody he talks to, including business people. So I'm going to play the first part of that and let her explain it much better than I just did. Okay. Let's see. We got to make that play.
Concerned about the idea that Democrats might retake control of the House and the Senate. And they're trying to back and fill as much as they possibly can to protect themselves. And there's 2 major ways they have done that so far. And then there's a third way that came out today. And then I think I will have answered all your questions. As soon as he took office on August 10th, on Monday, August 10th, one of the first things that Todd Blanche, now as the real attorney general, not just the acting attorney general, confirmed by the Republicans in the Senate to become attorney general, one of the first things he did was to issue a memo from the Department of Justice. Now, this is not a law. It hasn't been tested, but this is the position of the Trump administration, saying that the president can shield the conversations that he has with civilians under the idea of executive privilege. Executive privilege says that the president usually says that the president can shield his conversations with other members of the executive branch in order for a president to be able to get honest appraisals of different policies without having to worry about things leaking to the press or without having to worry about subpoenas from Congress. And the Trump administration has used executive privilege to try and protect all kinds of things. And the Democrats got wise to that. So they have made it very clear that as soon as they retake control of one or both or houses of Congress, they're not going to try to subpoena members of the executive branch. They're going to subpoena businessmen and people from universities and private citizens to ask them about the deals that Trump has been cutting with colleges, with businesses, and with private citizens. So what they are trying to do with this new memo is say, you can't even talk to those people. You can't subpoena those people. And the Democrats have said, this is hogwash. This is absolutely ridiculous. You can't do that. But it's clear that the administration is really worried about investigations into what it has been doing. So watch that memo, okay? But here's something even bigger, and I'm all over this. You may not remember, but it was a big deal. I always talk to you about how what I look for are game changers, like the cement coming out.
Okay, so that was the first part. Second part is about this law, Corporate Transparency Act, that was passed by both parties. And the idea of this was to get rid of shell companies, and owners had to give info about every person who owned 25% or more. They had to give birthdays, addresses, ID numbers. And it's from the FinCEN, Financial Crime Enforcement Network. Well, Trump and company have ended FinCEN, so none of that stuff is going to be tracked, and they want to destroy all the evidence that they have. and this is how they, catch money laundering. So we'll go on to that part.
Out of the cement truck and you watch it, it's kind of mesmerizing. But like if all of a sudden there's a bright child's toy in it, I always think of a dump truck with a red cab and a yellow bed in that stream of cement, you're going to sit up and take notice. Or if there's a leaping carp, those are the two things I always think of in my mind. Well, in late December 2020 and early January 2021, there was a child's toy in the cement coming out of the administration. And what I mean by that is that there had been a drop of documents to BuzzFeed News, which is now defunct, and also to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. A document dump of business records, bank records, that showed that between 1999 and 2017, banks had flagged more than $2 trillion of money that looked as if it had been laundered into the United States. And it had been moved by criminals operating out of China, Russia, Iran, and Syria. And they had done so using shell companies. Now, shell companies aren't real companies. They're companies that don't have a physical plant, don't actually do anything, but they're legal entities that can hold and move money. Well, you know where this is going. Shell companies are often used by criminals to make it look as if they are doing something legitimate to move money around. And we know that Trump uses shell companies because his fixer, Michael Cohen, used one to pay off adult film actress Stormy Daniels so she wouldn't speak up about their sexual encounter before the 2026 election. So what happened was when there was this news about how much money was being laundered in the United States, and the United States was one of the money laundering capitals of the world. The Congress began to sort of freak out about it on a bipartisan basis, by the way. And they passed a law called the Corporate Transparency Act. Is that right? Did I get that exactly right? Yes, the Corporate Transparency Act. And the Corporate Transparency Act worked to get rid of those shell companies that criminals were using to launder money, to evade taxes, and to engage in illegal payoff schemes like the one that Cohen used to pay off Stormy Daniels. And the act required that the owners of any company that was not already overseen by the federal government by filing taxes, for example, or there's some other ways in which that would be the case, had to file a report that identified every person associated with a company who owned more than 25% of it and who exercised what they called substantial control over it. That report would include a name, a birth date, an address, and an identifying number. And it would go to what's known as FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network in the Treasury Department. They also dramatically increased the penalties for money laundering, and they streamlined cooperation between banks and foreign law enforcement organizations. So the idea was to get rid of these shell companies in order to stop money laundering and the ability of using money laundering for crimes, right? So earlier this week, and I just want to point out here that one of the co-sponsors of the bill, the guy who wrote it, was Marco Rubio, then a senator from Florida, which kind of has a history involved in money laundering, and now Secretary of State and a real Trump loyalist. But what happened is earlier this week, FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, said that it was not only ending that registry that Congress said, oh, I'm sorry, let me go back a second. Congress passed the law, Trump vetoed it. It was part of the National Defense Authorization Act. Trump vetoed it, and Congress repassed it over his veto. It's not something that squeaked by. This is something that members of both parties thought we had to have. Now, FinCEN says it's not only ending that registry, I just can't even believe I have to give you this next piece of news. It is going to destroy all the data it has already collected. on shell companies. So, what they are essentially doing here is saying, quite literally, they are not going to enforce a law that Congress passed. Remember, the president's duty, he shall see that the laws are faithfully enforced. They're openly saying, we're not going to enforce this. Now, they're saying that it was the regulatory burdens were too extreme, especially for small companies. Do you buy that?
Yeah, that's total bullshit. They're doing this so they can hide their crimes and people can launder money. Kimchi, welcome here, Kimchi. Kimchi Key. Yeah, so these things that they're doing, I think what she's trying to impress upon us is they're so worried about what's going to happen in the midterms. They're trying to cover their collective arses, if you know what I mean. Okay, in this last part, it's a bit wordy and long, but I can't see my own writing here. Oh, it's about the DOJ having to justify their handling of the redactions on the Epstein file and what's going to happen there. So we'll go ahead and talk. I'll let her tell you about that.
I don't buy that. I think we should know who owns these shell companies, who is laundering money through them. And I will point out that one of the big complaints about the shell companies when they went to pass this law came from a Democratic lawmaker who said, it's illegal for foreigners to contribute to our political campaigns. But if you launder your money through a front company with anonymous ownership, there is very little we can do to stop you. So this again will open up the floodgates for foreign money, or could open up the floodgates for foreign money to come into American elections. But one last piece that you asked about, and again, I really have gone through this quickly, and again, maybe you can play it back more slowly for yourselves, because I really think these are all major, major, major stories, suggesting here, after setting up yesterday that Trump is very weak and the ways in which he's been grabbing money, and today that the ideologues in his administration are trying to get as much ideological ground as they can on immigration and on public health, or the anti-vax movement that Kennedy has backed for so long. What I'm trying to set up now is that they are very, very worried that there's going to be oversight from Democrats going forward if the Democrats actually win the midterm 2026 elections and then go into the election of 2028. And the other piece of this, having set up the change in the idea that Trump can shield everything he's ever said to any private citizen, so long as it comes under the definition of an official act, but who's going to check, right? And aside from this FinCEN decision to stop trying to stop money laundering, but also today was the day that the Department of Justice had to justify to the judge, Emmett Sullivan, why they had made the redactions that they had in the Epstein files. Because if you recall, the Epstein Files Transparency Act that Congress passed on November 19th, or rather that Trump signed into law on November 19th, required, didn't suggest, it required that the Department of Justice release all the Epstein files by no later than December 19th. And for the few redactions it was allowed to make to cover up the names of victims, it had to explain why they had made those redactions. It was very, very clear. And the Department of Justice, it was, according to former Attorney General Pam Bondi, it was then her deputy, then he became acting Attorney General when she resigned. It was Todd Blanche who made those redactions and kept so many of the files, more than half the files, back. Well, they have been dancing and dancing around this. Independent journalist Katie Fang sued for access to a number of documents, not all of them, but for a number of specific documents saying that these had been um, illegally redacted. And the judge said to the Department of Justice, okay, explain why you did this. You were supposed to explain anyway. And the Department of Justice has danced and danced and danced and refused really to explain why. So today was the day that the Department of Justice was supposed to justify what they had done. And the Blanche was not in the courtroom, of course. The lawyers for the Department of Justice went in and basically they just stonewalled. They did not produce anything new. They refused to say what they were doing. They said, "We don't think she has standing, and we're gonna that she, Katie Fang, has standing, and we're not going to tell you any more than we already have," which is simply extraordinary. The judge said that he was considering holding the Department of Justice in contempt of court. Little hard to think that that wasn't. I mean, he said, "I don't want to do this," but they're pretty openly saying to him, we're not going to tell you what the law requires. This is a real crisis for the rule of law in the United States. And you should absolutely have all three of those things on your radar screen because the administration is making a last real grab for power and to cement their power by simply saying, we're not going to answer to the law. And if they get away with this, let me tell you, we're going to have much bigger problems than Trump's name on the Department of Justice. I'm sorry, on.
Okay, so yeah, this does not sound like they're going to comply with the laws. Trump is not upholding his oath of office by complying. So it's getting really wonky out there, guys. The Curry files. Are there Curry files, Jeff? Is there something you're trying to tell us? So a lot's been going on. I'm really, we've heard a lot about Trump leaving in a food cart and leaving some of his staff and the press corps that was traveling with him to fly on the plane that was supposedly targeted. Air Force, the old Air Force One. That whole crap about leaving his Qatari jet so that the soldiers could see it was, BS, because BS is what we get from this administration. What's her name? The press secretary. I never watch her, so I can never think of her name. I can't stand the sound of her voice. Somebody put her name out there for me. Anybody? Jeff, quit it. What is her name, guys? The press secretary who just stepped down. Anybody? Oh, and anybody that came in later and missed the beginning, there's a link to Heather's 15 minutes breather about what we just discussed. And if anybody wants to go look at it, you can get the link there. Or just Google it, or not Google it, but search it on YouTube and find it. Caroline Levitt. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I'm not sure, but some said that she was on the plane and he didn't take her, but he took his girl printer chick with him, and some of the people from Mar-a-Lago that have been with him. And if I were a staff member that got left on that plane, I think that Marco Rubio was left on that plane as well. And I knew that he thought that this plane was going to be targeted, and he didn't make make it so that everybody was not on that plane, I would probably quit my job too. And I'm wondering if that's why Carolyn Levitt did it. I don't know. She came out with a statement. She wanted to be with her family, but it was right on the heels of that. So I'm wondering if she was just thinking, oh man, I could have been shot out of the sky and that son of a bitch left me on that plane that was targeted. So it just is so indicative of how he does not care about anybody unless they can make him money or cover his behind. And yeah, he does. It's like a reality TV show to him, Kimchi. Just like that assassination, the first one, that seemed so staged. Now, do I know it was staged? It could have been. I don't have any facts that prove that, but he did call off any investigation into that. And why would he do that? Why wouldn't he want it to be investigated? Unless there was something to hide. Very creepy vibes going on. What else? The soldiers, the naval men who are on these ships over there, not even having decent food, toiletries. Even the women don't have products for their monthly cycle now. There was a report of one guy that jumped off the ship. He's apparently still alive, but they're not going to discuss his medical conditions because of HIPAA, apparently. Like they care about rules. Jeff, you're right that he's saying that now that the plane he went on was more dangerous. Right. Kimchi, I agree. I don't know how that guy was able to get on that rooftop with everybody pointing and shouting and hey, there's a guy, and take out some shots, And I don't know that his ear even got nicked because if you saw the video, you go back and look at it, it goes like this to his ear. And there's an old trick where you stick a little piece of razor in between your fingers, and you go like that, and you can kind of nick your ear. And ears bleed horribly. You cut your ear, it's going to look way worse than it is. And then we're going to wear a maxi pad on our ears now, and the whole crowd at his, I don't remember what it was, but it was something to do with the election. They all wore those patches on their ears. It's like, fuck. And yeah, there's always the video of him just shortly after where he's golfing, and there's no mark on his ear. But that's, kind of a conspiracy type of deal, and let's see what is going on Blue Sky. Okay. I'm going to enlarge just a little. So I can see what I'm doing. This is the problem. There we go. Let's see. Still can't read it very well, but I'll read this to you. It seemed weird. This is a post from Trump. So, based on my very good relationship with Kim Jong-un, of North Korea, I am not happy with the fact that the United States has long ago agreed to participate in joint military exercises with South Korea. These exercises are not only costly, but much of these costs paid for by the United States of America as usual, but send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that, as long as Donald J. Trump has been president, has been unthreatening and respectful. Therefore, and based on the fact that it is too late to cancel, I've instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce the joint military exercises. While somewhat unrelated, I recently asked the president of South Korea if they would like to join us in the denuclearization of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they said no thanks. Thank you for your attention to this matter, blah, blah, blah. So he's still playing footsie with Kim. Yes, I agree, Kimchi. If a bullet from that caliber of gun had even touched his ear, it would have been damaged beyond repair. They probably would have to build him a new one. Uh, anyway, back to him sucking up to Kim Jong Un and dissing one of our allies again. I just can't with this guy sometimes. I don't even know what to say to that. He's such a moron. Ron Filkowski posted, for the first time in U.S. history, America betrays South Korea, one of our closest allies for over 75 years. These exercises in various forms have taken place every year since 1974. Betrayed our allies. Let's see. Fox News mocks sailors. Imagine that. Fox News host Joy Jones lashed out at U.S. sailors, speaking about the dire conditions aboard the USS Lincoln, calling them weak and warning America has nothing left. And warning America has nothing left? Huh. What do you mean by that? We have no we have a damaged reputation. Nobody believes a word coming out of this administration. Here you have Donald J. Trump with one of his stupid memes. Thank you, George, for some of your brilliant ideas on this great military complex / ballroom. Okay, psycho. That's just nuts. The mouthy renegade writer, you traitorous shit stains who cheer for a child rapist should all be locked up for the rest of your pathetic lives. The world will be a safer place. This photo is exactly why many women don't report being sexually assaulted and raped. Essayed, I mean. I don't think we're supposed to say the whole thing. No big thin wall. Not really sure, but it's got something to do with National Park Service, the alternate National Park Service. Okay, they have a lot of alternate groups that take the place of groups that have been disbanded. Ron Filkowski, who's traveled with Natalie Ossoff, while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks, so he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar. I'm really liking Ossoff these days. I don't know about you guys. What have I been missing? I agree, Kimchi. He is a traitor. You hit ground under a deer. The deer, the shock nearly knocked the deer over. What are you talking about, Jeff? You shot at a deer? Stop it. Deer's lives matter. I don't know. I guess people gotta eat if they're gonna eat them. Freedom Riders Collaborative, a former exec at Trump's Atlantic City casino, told CNN that Epstein and Trump brought 3 under 21 girls to the gambling floor. Of course, Trump's White House calls that fabricated. So they were underage, under 21, but they're not saying how young they were. Mike Nellis thinks Ossoff being one to single-handedly force the media to report the truth about Trump's secret girlfriend would be a hell of a folklore story on the campaign trail. Just saying. I don't know if any of you follow Mike Nellis, but he's pretty cool. Dr. Lucky Tran, I don't believe in climate change. Dude, this is physics, not Santa Claus. Oh. And Thomas is laughing. A.G. Blanche, Todd Blanche, this narrative that the president is going to pull me aside and ask me to do something illegal is a completely false narrative. Not true, will not happen, and hasn't happened. Oh, yeah, right. We believe you, Todd. There's another Trump post. For our great Republican senators, friends of mine all, please be advised that the Communist Democrat Senate candidate from Michigan, Abdurrahman Mohammed Al-Sayed, is touting as perhaps his single most important point the termination of the filibuster. I watched yesterday and he's gone termination crazy. If he succeeds, the Democrats will gain 4 senators, 8 congressmen, many electoral and popular votes, a stacked Supreme Court with 23 justices, and I will be, sadly, despite the great job we're doing, the last Republican president. I'll say it, couldn't have said it better myself. Huh. I have had some tomatoes lately, so I'll just show you these. I had a bacon and tomato sandwich last week, and I've got like 5 ripe tomatoes out on my vine I need to go pick. Sunday evening reminder. You made it through the week. Whatever didn't get finished can wait. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, and exhale. Tonight, choose gentle rest. Rest isn't giving up. It's part of becoming tomorrow. It's part of becoming. Tomorrow can wait until tomorrow. Sometimes I think we do need to exhale. Lots of good clips of the Ossoff rally. You can't post them here because this is the one top frequent day where blue sky is totally broken. That must have been today. I thought his rally was like last night or something. Let's see. Scott McFarland, a new Cook political report forecast shows 2 more GOP held U.S. House seats in Ohio shifting in the direction of blue. From Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee about seats held by Reps Michael Turner, Republican of Ohio, and Rep Mike Carey, Republican of Ohio. It would be nice to see Ohio go blue, and Iowa too. A nice picture of Scotland. Ricky Davila says, good morning. Putin's Moscow is burning today because President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people refuse to cower to a murderous tyrant and are fighting for the right to exist. And I did hear that Ukraine was getting beat up pretty bad. I'm not following this stream. Who's Yuki? Strokey pants. I gotta meet this Yuki sometime. She sounds like fun. So I think that's enough of the blue sky. I'll take that down. That's pretty much what I had for tonight. I didn't spend a lot of time gathering stuff, but I just I thought that Heather Cox Richardson report was really interesting, and I think it should be on our radar what they're doing. You know, not only are they doing this shit, you got to look at all the stuff they're doing to try to interfere in the midterms, and we can't take our eyes off the ball, off of none of it, because they know. I think they know that they've really screwed things up badly, that people are upset, even their people. I mean, they can go on the news all they want, say everything's wonderful and the economy is great, but in the real world, not the fantasy land that they live in, things are not great. Things are not great for anybody, or most people, I should say. Um, I want to let y'all know that next Sunday, Inkrat may join me on the phone and we'll do another Ask Me Anything in AMA. And I'd really like it if you guys would come up with some good questions for her, especially on the test reel issue, because I think that's what we're going to be discussing. So if you can come up with any questions about that, anything at all. I think she's read like half a dozen books. That could be an exaggeration, but she is like down on it. She knows a lot about it. Another thing I want to do is, this goes back to them, the people in charge, not even acting like they hear us. Or maybe they don't want to hear us, maybe they know. But I was thinking maybe if everybody just did a short, like 1 minute um, video in your phone and uploaded it to YouTube. If you send it to my email, I'll upload it to my channel and just tell what's going on that's really bothering you, and then end it with, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" And I think we should make this a thing. guys are so funny. Uh, what do you think of those ideas about the Can You Hear Me Now and having Ink Rat on for another Ask Me Anything? Thank you, Kimchi. We upload a video and end it with Can You Hear Me Now? I think we could make this a thing and have it flood the algorithms. Maybe we could even make them go on Truth Social. Can you hear me now? Like, I can't afford to feed my dog anymore because dog food's so expensive. And I can't, the subject for Inkrat's going to be about, the tech bros and TestReal and what they're trying to pull off and how crazy it is. So, yeah. I think I'll do a song. I tuned this up before the show, so hopefully we're still good. I noticed when I played last time, I couldn't hear the guitar very well, so I'm gonna. How does that sound? Can you hear the guitar? Okay. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to play. I do too. out. That's not even a real song. All two forks. I'm going to buy you some plastic forks, Jeff. Can't think of anything to play. I didn't have a lot of time to practice this week because I'm trying to get things finished up in here. It was supposed to happen today, but the guy didn't show up. But we just got some windows to clean and some screens to replace. We'll not be done for a while. Let's see. Thank you, Kimchi. Getting mad at injustice doesn't do any good. Just have to keep pushing back on it. Oh. I mean, I know it's infuriating to watch these guys just get away with all the crimes. We got to start doing a crime of the week show. Except, how are you going to choose just one? There are so many crimes. I'm sorry. I'm just... Hey, TV. TV, did you send me an email? How's that go? Shit. I looked for an email from you, TV. I didn't see it. Did you get the one I sent you? Yeah, I didn't get the email about your copyright stuff. I got copyright for Behind Blue Eyes last week. I had to cut it out of my stream, and then I couldn't make any clips out of it. But I'm going to do some more reading, try to figure it all out so I don't become an outlaw, a YouTube outlawer. I just wrote you back and said that I had forgot to put the M on the .com. That's why the first email I sent you didn't get through. And then I wrote you, and when I wrote you back, I said I'd look forward to any advice you could give me. And then I looked for a follow-up email from that TV, and I didn't see it. Okay. I don't think that's happening. I've got a lot of security. I think I'd get warned. Okay. Oh, Lordy, I suck sometimes. Ay, ay, ay. I don't know if my amp is working. It sounds to me like it's just coming out of the guitar, but you guys can hear it better. Last week, after, when I did the playback, I could barely hear the guitar, so I'm trying to get that mic up close to the guitar hole. But this is the new Washburn. Got the cutout, which is really nice. Thanks to my brother. I think my old Washburn is sad now because I'm not playing it as much. Oh, you're welcome, TV. I always love it when you show up. I'll look for that email. Thank you, Jolie. Not singing tonight because my throat is kind of raw, and I'm coughing a lot, so I just thought I'd jam a little bit. Stay there. Not you, the guitars. Mala has been sacked out for most of the day because she spent the night with her boyfriend. And it's been storming a lot here, and she doesn't like the storms, and she gets really upset. I put a little short on my channel you guys could check out. Some of you may have already done it. I'm just singing her the song that I made up for Lucy. When she was alive, she would climb into the bathtub during fireworks and storms and just shake. And so I would sing her this song that I kind of it's an old tune, but it goes like this. Don't like no storm a coming, don't like no thunder too. Just head out for the bathtub, 'cause that's just how I do. Yeah, I don't like no thunder, don't like no lightning too. I just head out for the bathtub. I got the thunderstorm blues. So I was in the kitchen with her the other day, and we were having a really loud, raucous thunderstorm, and I sang that to her while she sat there with her back to me. And right at the end, she looks at me like, "Yeah, right, you got me." I was trying to comfort her, but she was not comforted. I don't want to give her drugs for crying out loud, but she gets really upset. I might end up having to give her mild sedatives or something. Really frightens her. Janelle, hello. Thanks for coming in. Thank you, TV. I don't know about all that. Oh, yeah, she is a sweetheart. She loves her Simon. My friend down the street has a big dog named Simon, and they love Chuthers. Well, thank you, TV. My voice is really raspy tonight, and I've been coughing all day. Probably because of all the smoking I've been doing. Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Uh, but it is nice to end the week with just a little bit of news and then a little bit of comfort. You know, what I always like to say, call your reps, be kind to people, help if you can, uh, talk to people. I know it's uncomfortable sometimes, but sometimes you need to have these conversations. Um, I don't know if I told you guys this, but Indivisible, the lady that was running our Indivisible in this town, she shut it down about a month ago because she thought it was getting too dangerous, which was, in my opinion, ridiculous. Nobody was getting in any fights or anything. I mean, sure, you'd have some protester out there every now and then that might yell something back at some idiot that drove by and yelled something at them. But, that's kind of a natural reflex. And, she says it's not allowed, but you can't control everybody. Well, thank you, TV. I try, but I really got to cut back on my smoking or I'm going to not be able to sing ever again. Yeah, I don't know, Kim. She shut it down. So uh, the Indivisible contacted us, some of us in Burlington, and we're reforming it without her. I would assume that the danger comes from them, yes, Kimchi. But it was really quite jarring because we had a good group of people here that were showing up every Saturday, and she just shut it down. And it seemed, in my humble opinion, a bit chicken shit. But her and I had some differences way from the beginning. I went to when she first formed that group. I was like the first person besides her mom that showed up at a meeting to make signs, and she didn't like that I was doing social media on YouTube and kind of shut me down. So I still supported the cause, not her cause, but the cause. But I can't say that I agreed with her handling of things because, what's the point if you can't get more people to see what what you're doing in your neck of the woods. And people aren't going to see it if you don't put it out there. The fuck, of course. What the fuck? It's been just 2 months and 3 days since my mom passed away. And on the 13th, it just hit me really hard because I couldn't believe 2 months had gone by already. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll try to put it up here. I bought this ring, and I can get it to focus. It's the Tree of Life, and it's a ring that I can put my mom's ashes in. And my sister's coming up in the first week of September, and she's going to bring me a half a teaspoon of ashes. And I feel like that would make me feel closer to her. Josh Hughes didn't show up tonight. Wonder if he's still vacationing. I think he was having things to do with family last week or something, or the week before. But remember what I said about next week doing an AMA? We're going to be talking about TestGale and Tech Bros. Yeah, Kimchi, it was just a couple months ago. Um, she said she was winding down and didn't want to do medical stuff anymore. And they put her in hospice, and she was gone within 10 days. So, yeah, it was a hard time. And it was only in December when Ink Rat lost her son, which he was like a son to me, too. I knew him since he was a baby. He was 40 when he died. And then right after my mom died, Ink Rat's dog died a week later to the day. and that was Desi Bear, and we all loved her greatly. It's hard to imagine all that so vastly happening and everything that's going on in the world right now. And when my mom was in hospice, I would call her and just talk to her. She did not really respond other than to like flutter her eyes and maybe make a soft sound every now and again. But when you talk to her, her eyes would flutter. And I told her, I said, Mom, don't you worry about us kids. We're all going to be okay. And I mean it. We're all going to be okay. So I promised that to my mom, so I'm promising it to you. We are going to be fine. We're going to get through this, and we're going to have a stronger democracy when it's all over. And Mom will be proud of us all, because she was not a Trump supporter. Not at all. I don't know if I've told you this story, but when he was running the first time against Hillary, my mother had come over, and her and I were going to have a party to celebrate the first female president to be elected. And when Trump won Florida, my mom curled up on the floor in the fetal position because she knew it was all over once he had won Florida. Love you too, Jolie. And needless to say, we didn't have our party. She went home early. That was a sad night, but we all took comfort in talking to each other and discussing current events. So up until the second term, Mom just couldn't deal anymore. She'd ask an occasional question about what was going on. I didn't tell her about what they're doing to education, as my mom was a teacher, and she was a special ed teacher to boot. Retired, but that's what she did. So I didn't want her to know what they were doing to education. But she would say things to me like, tell me something good. And I'd have to really think hard. Okay, Mom, well, anyway, I'm just rambling. You guys probably have better things to do than listen to this. But again, thank you all for coming, and share Heather's video with people, because I think it's really important to keep an eye on those things they're doing. And thank you for being my fans with my guitar playing TV. That was so sweet of you to say, because I've been feeling really crappy about my voice lately. So, anyway, everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Please have some questions ready and think about the other thing I said, which was, can you hear me now? Doing a little video telling about how the economy is affecting your life or whatever. The 1 minute thing? Yeah, the 1 minute thing, the 1 minute video. Can you hear me now? If you got anything going on and you want people to know how his policies are affecting you in your life, just spit it out there in a minute and then just say, can you hear me now? And we'll try to get that rolling. Maybe TV can get some people on his stream to do it too, and maybe we can get Laura and others. Steve, thanks for coming. Kimchi, Jolie, TV2, Jeff, Jolie. Did I miss anybody? Kimchi, I said, I think. Oh, let's see. Somebody just stopped in briefly. Janelle. Janelle, thanks for stopping in. I hope you're still here and listening. So good to see you. I think that covers just about everybody that came tonight. Steve, I said, I think. Yeah. So glad you all came and hung out with me. And I'll be back next week, maybe sooner if something crazy happens. Jolie, thanks for modding. And everybody have a great night, and we'll see what happens next week. Take care, everybody. Love you.